The sun was barely rising as the small tribe emerged from their cave, the crisp air of the savannah filling their lungs. Each member of the group moved with purpose, their limbs stiff from the cold night, but instinctively knowing what needed to be done. Their spears and stone tools gleamed faintly in the dim light worn from years of use, but still reliable. A sense of urgency filled the air. Hunting was their only option today. The fire had dimmed down to embers, the last of their provisions already eaten. A sense of unease crept over the group, but they knew they had to move forward. There was no room for hesitation. The horizon stretched endlessly before them, the sprawling grasslands as far as the eye could see, dotted with the occasional tree and rock outcropping. The young ones clung to their mothers as they walked their feet, leaving marks in the soft earth. A few of the elders kept their eyes peeled, scanning for anything out of place. Today, they were hunting the megafauna, the great beasts that roamed the plains, their massive forms a constant threat. Mammoths, giant bison, and saber-tooth tigers. The megafauna that had once roamed freely were now a matter of life and death, the tribe's survival hinging on a single hunt. Suddenly, a loud rumble echoed across the horizon. It wasn't the wind. The ground trembled, faint but unmistakable. One of the elders, a sharp-eyed woman with streaks of gray in her hair, raised a hand to signal the group to stop. Her fingers twitched, the motion silent but clear. Danger. The thundering sound grew louder, the earth vibrating beneath their feet. There, emerging from the tall grasses, was a massive mammoth, its tusks gleaming like ivory daggers. It was moving toward them, its massive legs churning up dust. The group stood frozen for a moment, every muscle tensed in preparation. The mammoth's size alone could crush them, but it was not the only danger that loomed. Without a word, the hunters quickly organized, positioning themselves in the tall grasses. The younger members of the group, those with less experience, were given the rear, while the more seasoned hunters moved forward, their spears aimed at the massive beast. The mammoth paused, its nostrils flaring as it sniffed the air. It had caught their scent. With a deafening trumpet, it charged the ground, shaking with its movements. The tribe had little time to react. In a flash, the first hunter hurled his spear, striking the mammoth's side, but it bounced off the thick hide. The mammoth's eyes narrowed, its anger rising. The group scattered instinctively, breaking into two, one group retreating to lure the mammoth into a trap, the other preparing to strike again. The tension in the air was palpable as each member focused, waiting for the right moment to act. It was a test of patience, of strategy, and survival. But as the mammoth charged once more, a shadow moved across the sky. The younger hunters looked up, eyes wide with terror, as a saber-toothed tiger leaped from the trees. It was massive, its fangs glinting as it landed in the center of the group, its roar piercing the air. The tribe was trapped. In that instant, survival instincts kicked in. The group worked together, coordinating with no words spoken, only the rhythm of survival guiding them. One hunter hurled his spear into the saber-tooth's side, while others rushed to protect the young ones. The battle raged, a violent, desperate dance for survival, as both the mammoth and the tiger loomed as threats to their very existence. The struggle intensified as the saber-tooth growled a deep, bone-shaking sound, its eyes locked on the young hunters. The air was thick with the scent of fear and adrenaline. One of the elders, a woman whose face was carved with the stories of many battles, stepped forward. Her spear was raised, her movements fluid, a perfect balance of experience and desperation. She thrust her weapon with all her strength, aiming for the creature's neck. The impact was immediate, but not enough. The saber-tooth recoiled, snapping at her, its jaws missing her by inches. A second spear flew through the air, this time striking the saber-tooth in the side. The beast staggered, growling in agony, but its fury only intensified. In a flash, it lunged forward again, this time targeting the elder who had struck it. The tribe's heart stopped. This was their leader, their protector. A gasp rippled through the group, but there was no time for fear. Without hesitation, one of the younger hunters, a tall man with quick reflexes, dove toward the saber-tooth. He swung his spear with all his might, forcing the animal to retreat, just as its fangs grazed the elder's leg. Blood stained the ground, but the woman did not falter. She was alive, and so was the tribe's hope. The mammoth, still roaring, charged again. Its massive form cast a shadow over the scene, blocking the sun, and for a moment, the chaos paused. It was now or never. The tribe's survival hinged on this very moment. The hunters, their muscles aching and minds racing, regrouped. The mammoth was moving faster now, driven by pain and anger. But the trap was set. A path was cleared between two great stones, a natural bottleneck, perfect for a final stand. The younger hunters, with the speed of desperation, sprinted toward the stones, drawing the mammoth in. At the same time, the older hunters positioned themselves poised to strike. They needed precision and timing. The mammoth was nearly upon them. The moment came. The first spear flew through the air, striking the mammoth in the shoulder. The beast stumbled, but continued its charge, a deafening sound that shook the ground. In a synchronized effort, the hunters thrust their spears once more, aiming for the mammoth's vulnerable spots. The creature's enormous body faltered its charge, weakening as it stumbled. Another spear, then another. Finally, with a last desperate bellow, the mammoth collapsed, its massive body falling to the earth with a heavy thud. Silence followed the chaos, broken only by the ragged breaths of the tribe. The battle was over. The survivors stood over the great beast, the weight of the moment settling in. They had survived. But the cost was visible. The elder, her leg torn from the saber-tooth's attack, was carried back to the cave, the others close behind. Despite the wounds, their faces wore expressions of resolve. They had triumphed, but at a price. The tribe was weakened, their resources strained. But there was hope. As the group gathered around the fire that night, the bonds of survival were stronger than ever. The hunt had been a success. The tribe would eat. The tribe would survive. And as the flames crackled, the younger ones sat close to the elders, watching as the older hunters prepared their next steps. The struggle had forged them into something more than a simple tribe. They were a story of survival, a legend in the making. And the world, vast and unforgiving, had just witnessed the resilience of the human spirit. As the tribe gathered around the fire, the embers flickered in the dark, casting long shadows over their weary faces. The day's struggle had not been easy, but they had lived through it. The mammoth lay slain, its massive body providing sustenance. But the victory came with the reminder of the brutal nature of life on the plains. The younger hunters, their hands still trembling from the battle, gathered around the fallen beast, skinning it with practiced hands. The older women worked quickly, preparing medicinal herbs to tend to the wounds, each action carried out with quiet precision. The leader of the tribe, the elder woman, her leg bound in makeshift bandages, looked up at the sky, her expression distant. She understood the cost of survival, the delicate balance between life and death. Her gaze met that of the young man who had saved her. Without a word, their eyes spoke volumes. Gratitude, respect, the unspoken bond of those who fought side by side in the face of oblivion. As the night stretched on, the tribe shared what little they had left. The meat of the mammoth would be enough to feed them for days, and they could dry the skins for warmth and shelter. But it wasn't just the food that filled their hearts tonight. It was the unity, the strength they had shown as a group that would carry them through whatever came next. Their survival was not just due to their individual efforts, but to the collective power of their bond. They had faced the megafauna together, and together they would rise again. And in the distance, beyond the firelight, the winds howled across the savannah. The storms were not over. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for tonight, the tribe had won. They had survived. And that was enough. Their story would echo through the ages, a tale of survival resilience and unity in the face of a world that would never stop testing them. The Ice Age megafauna had not just survived into human history, they had become part of it. The tribe would live on forever, marked by the struggle, forever bound by the unbreakable thread of survival. As the fire flickered out, the tribe settled into a quiet, exhausted sleep, knowing that whatever tomorrow brought, they were ready.